Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. And I'm doing something different actually, something I haven't done for a long time. Actually, I'm actually got rid of many odd years ago, but I decided to bring it back for this one-off special, this one-off video really. Talk about basically YouTube, like the YouTube viewing, about YouTube careers, my viewing experiences with YouTube really, and how it's not the same anymore as it used to. It's taking a bit of a nosedive in YouTube culture because obviously our age really, we've called the YouTube for many odd years since it first came on 2005, and decides to just take a nosedive in how many odd years really. I think nearly 20 years it's gone up to. It's 2022 now. In a couple of years time it'll be 20 years old, YouTube, blimey, strangely. But just a little preface, of course, I did a series called YouTube Defunct back in 2017. I think it's 2018 actually, I think, that I done it. I only planned to do like 8 episodes really. I've only did half of that really. I did a few actually. I think I did less Smosh to Buskers, PewDiePie as well, and that's another one that I did. And I just don't know, I wasn't really satisfied at the time really. I mean, I was like, again, it's like a fallen idols thing. How much they were good in their prime, but at that time they're not really. So obviously that sort of thing. But I was thinking, there's a lot of positive stuff as well. I was going to do something about Let's Play Family, like do the Rooster Teeth stuff. This was 2018. This was so probably in positive type ways really, and something about the Doc 2 community, of course, not in terms of toxicity at the time when Whittaker was actually starting off her era really, the Chimney era and everything else. But I decided against that. I decided to get rid of it because I was a bit dissatisfied with it really. And some of the videos just didn't really work well really, unfortunately. But cut a few years now, how times have changed. A lot of stuff has been changed, it has. And my viewing experiences with everything else, like, in terms of like what I used to watch and how it's come out now and how it's just changed really all the time. There could be many things, of course. It could be corporate things, it could be personal things, it could be like very serious, dangerous stuff really, to be honest. Obviously what has been come out in the past 2 years, I think, actually, but I think maybe more than that. But it's just something I thought about just recently. I thought like, you know what, I might get some on my chest actually, and just maybe just like speak out and just maybe talk about just maybe some pieces of what I've seen from from YouTube, of course, and why I don't really watch them anymore. Why am I not really interested? But we'll get through it anyway. I split this up into 3 different sections really, so that's this whole thing. It's going to be a bit, I'll see how long this video takes really, but I will talk about stuff really. Indeed, waffle on about stuff. See if you're interested or not. Comment down below if you have various thoughts and feelings about this sort of stuff, what I might present really. Just general stuff really. So let's do this. So point number 1, let's get this out of the way. Gaming. I'm not really. Here's the thing though, I mean, it was something we brought up when I was starting off YouTube really. Mum made thought I was going to do like a gaming channel. It's like, oh, you're going to do gaming and stuff like that. It's like, well, no, that's not my thing really. I haven't done gaming for many other years, believe it or not, since 2015. I haven't played video games for a long time. And I still got bored with it really, and actually did a channel of it. It's not doing much. I mean, that's a market itself. It's a glorified market these days, you have your multi-million people, and you reach your billions like PewDiePie as well. But I find it's too much. It's too much a market. It's there's too much competition. There's loads of competition. Everyone's just trying to get some of that cash thing, of course, get some revenue, get some marketing involved. It's just not the same. It's too corporate. This is the problem. This is gaming now. Rise to corporate stuff, to the corporate heads of YouTube, maybe Google as well, but also people who probably maybe involved with the creators themselves, who probably market their ideas, but also have an in with them, like a partnership or something like that. I'll probably tell them to do some other stuff, of course, here and there. There was a good video done by Culture Class, who did on Uberhacks Nova, really. I won't say not much about Uberhacks Nova, really, of course. It was sort of like the one of the last gaming YouTubers ever. But he mentioned towards the end of the video, of course, that the landscape of YouTube gaming is completely different from what it was back in the day. I mean, you probably have like unfiltered content, people swearing their heads off or everything else and raging instantly, as was naturally was because they were playing a game, of course, and also for their good personalities and stuff. You probably still get it sometimes, really, but the whole thing seems like it seems watered down, and also the censoring stuff as well. A lot, and the YouTube's sort of again, this sort of thing is like it's marketed to kids and everything else. It's also, I mean, when we think of the social justice warriors era, pretty much, or this sort of regime, whatever, which is I despise really. I think it's a lot of bullshit. Of course, I think people are think they're too sensitive these days. Based on saying they think oh, someone protect the children. It's like you look at rock and roll, they think it's like the devil's music or something, really. And it's just like a frustrating thing, really. It's like you look at films as well and everything else. Well, I've sort of mainly, music and everything else, really. There's always like edit some stuff out or get rid of stuff that I think is quite offensive, really. I mean, Fawlty Towers of Germans is an example, of course. If one wants to show because it could be quite offensive. It's like, well, it's a round classic from the 70s, of course. But obviously, people probably still look at this, hey, people reshoot banned movies, they do, obviously, and even that can be offensive, like I've got kind of a Holocaust. That's got animal cruelty in, of course, like basically like bugs and insects getting squashed, their CETAs or getting cut open. Yes, of course, but that's obviously been released, of course. And that's no, and people's like, yeah, really, we're not bothered. It's not bothered. But I think it's because it's like a social media thing, and also the rise of the internet, of course. What we're doing, it seems to be that sort of thing. And I can probably see where it's coming from, of course. Obviously, but it's taken into account that it's too much, really. Again, censoring stuff, of course. It's basically watering down what is going on, really. The very keen example is when with Rooster Teeth, really, of course, because part of it owns Warner Media, actually, or do own Rooster Teeth, they do. And also, you look at the content and what they're doing, like Achievement Hunter, Funhouse, kind of thing. The people actually are part of this Rooster Teeth network. What used to become their channels, and actually, what they brought out many odd years ago, and actually did all this fantastic stuff back in the day, and then you come many odd years later to the present day, like sort of like latter half, late 2010s, early 2020s, and it's just not lacking, of course, and it's just like they're trying to keep everything, this company is trying to keep everything corporate, and maintain it to like I think it needs to sound like a middling audience, really, and it just doesn't work, really, especially now these days, because I can't really bother really watching Rooster Teeth. I'll get to know a point later on, but I think look at, because people have been bringing up the whole Warner Media thing, of course, recently, and it's it's basically dampening down. It's basically like whacking a dead horse or something, really. See if it can move, and see if it could be still attractive to do, and also if you can, that's this sort of thing, and it just doesn't really. I mean, it's too. There's sometimes with Rooster Teeth, of course, it can be crude sometimes in places. It does language, but also it depends with which channels you look for, and they can do some, be unfiltered sort of thing. Now they have to be, and I certainly don't, because I'm not. I think because the monetize the whole thing, of course, and also millions of people really. I don't. I could be whatever I want, really, to be honest. I don't have to monetize. I don't get paid for this, of course. I just do it for a hobby. I do it for like spare time, something to do, really, and it just comes from that, really, and it's just the way things are going, of course. The whole gaming, I just don't do that, really. I mean, I used to enjoy it quite a bit, actually. I think everyone did, really, because you enjoyed, of course, Achievement Hunter or Let's Play, whatever. You obviously people like the creatures, of course. That sort of leads to other stuff, really. I think I don't know if I did plan to do a video of them. I don't know, but who knows? Back in the day, it used to be great. Back in those early days, halcyon days, whatever. It used to be wild and stuff, of course. But obviously, as time went on, and this is another example, like they're trying to bring down to a family audience as well. Creatures are a good example, actually, because when people like Alex and James left because of disagreements with obviously Jordan, obviously, I can, and you know, um, it basically, it basically changed its head, and also the atmosphere changed. It's like it becomes more family friendly, and you miss that edge, don't you, of what it used to be. I mean, I used to watch Creatures, and it used to be a fair game, really. Obviously, I think I was subscribed when they finished, really. But looking back on it, it's not as good. Again, it lost its edge because they were quite anarchic. They had that anarchic edge to them. What they have. I mean, with James and Alex, of course, feeding the fire and everything else. You also have like the elusive Shameless as well, and also various other peoples as well. That sort of thing. But I think as being associated with Rooster Teeth, but also being on tap to Warner as well, it caused a bit of an issue, of course. And also you got Jordan, who's basically the head of the Creatures, also just you're not willing to carry on the whole anarchic thing of us, and just trying and again be laid back, try not to willing to experiment, just keep to a formula. I call it Michael Love formula because or like the Beach Boys formula, or whatever. It's like, I guess we stick to the same formula over the years, don't willing to experiment. It's been like that. It's been like that. Really, it's like bit of like a Mike Love of YouTube gaming. Jordan is, and basically that's how it happened. Also, tensions happen. James left, of course, because he, again, because try and pull in different directions, of course. One anarchic edge and one just likes to be plain sailing and just appeal to families, really. Make it squeaky clean, which is not the best way to do it, because you're basically like diluting your career. That's the thing. You can probably appease it to kids, of course. Obviously, when we have the whole people, basically everyone has got a freaking phone to do. Obviously, these days, even the younger kids who probably been maybe like 4 or 5 do have a phone. It just happens really, because again, it could be like young parenting, whatever. I would not go there. But it's appealing to the whole mass thing, of course. You've got your hardcore fans, of course, who've probably been older, of course, who've probably more edgier, everything else, and probably think, oh, we want hardcore, just gaming, fun, rage, that sort of thing, of course. That's what we have a good dose for. But you also got the other side involving, just being family friendly for kids, really, and it doesn't meld, unfortunately. And I just really get sick of that. I do, and that's why I just think gaming is just a bit of a horrible market, really. I just really don't feel that interested in doing that sort of thing, really. In my life, I never do, really. Not on this channel. You don't see me do that. Reactions, I did one reaction video, so there we go. But gaming, I never go near that stuff. I'm not a gamer. I used to be, but not anymore. I sort of stopped that, I did. And this happens, really. But there we go. So gaming, I just let that out of the way. That's one thing. A little bit of a rant there, but just happens, really. So that's point 1. Point 2, I say, wants nostalgia. So basically, channels that have been and went, but also just lack the focus that they've had for years, really. I mean, obviously, Smosh is a good example, because back in those days, you have Ian and Nancy just doing these weird, crazy videos, like some like low budget videos with maybe like a camera guy as well, and doing this stuff like what if was something real, of course, back in those days. Blimey, that was fantastic. It was, the music videos, of course, and just making albums, and it was really something. And also mimed songs as well, Pokemon theme, Mortal Kombat. That was, I mean, that's very early Smosh days, but that was really something at that point. And then you get other stuff, involving the food battle, very much involving sprinkled donuts and whatnot. And as times change on, they introduce more cast members, of course. Again, like, things like Keith, Noah, Olivia, and Courtney as well, and Shane. So it brings the edge in, of course. You bring some more other personalities in just to fill up the whole thing, really, and put them aside Smosh, really. It all works, it does. I mean, when the first stuff came and so gradually come in, fair enough. That was something, really. On the other hand, you've got Smosh games as well, like a sci thing, of course, involving various different personalities, which have been, again, really good. And, well, that's changed a lot, the house, really. It's not the same as it once was. I mean, back in those days, it was interesting because the Jovenshire, Sahinki, Lasercorn, and you also have people like Mario as well, Wes, and what was his name? Flitz. Back in those days, it was really just like good entertainment. It was, again, gaming it's a far cry from what it used to be. You know, it's like you know, for what it used to be back in the day. You know, yeah, channel cartoons, of course, they're side channel thing, of course, involving different people, like independent animations. It's still probably still on YouTube, but it's just ceased now, obviously. But in those days, interesting stuff, very obscure cartoons and very weirdness. I mean, God, you know, Turbo Fat Guy has his own handmade series, of course. You know, the Smosh Babies as well, that sort of came out. A lot of good stuff, really interesting stuff, and some of the probably shit ones probably be entertaining. You know, that was something way back, you know, back in the day, really. You know, like a few blocks of cartoons. You know, I think they probably spread them out weekly or once which weekday or something they put them on, really. But it was actually, again, really good stuff. Shame that ended, really. I thought it might continue on. There was some fantastic stuff going on there. Again, independent stuff, really just crazy, borderline stuff, maybe gross out stuff as well included. But it was really something. It's like a weird treasure trove of, you know, independent animation, really, at that point. What else? He had the language stuff as well, like getting dubbed over in different languages. Fair enough. Appealing to a different worldwide market, fine, that's okay. I think what the main problem was with Smosh when its sort of downfall is because Anthony leaving, of course. He sort of left. I think he didn't really enjoy as much as he did really. So he left and did his own his own thing really, gone solo and did his own thing really, which I've seen quite recently actually. And obviously, he's interviewed with people who probably had mental health issues, learning disabilities, and you know how that's a fill up very personal stuff really. It's actually pretty interesting. It is, you know. Obviously, Ian's carried on, of course, and everything else. And this is the thing. This is the problem, though. It seems carrying it's like in the same film of formula, but it's getting very stale. Really getting stale it is. You know, they get into this whole boomer thing, really. I mean, it's what Simon put on, you know, put thing really. You know, everything's getting really stale at this point. You know, they stick to the same formula how many odd years. You know, this whole set of tone they did really, and it's just not good anymore. You know, Smosh is a very good example. Fine Brothers is another one really. In those days, you see kids, teenagers, elders react to various stuff in the music videos, and you know the new thing that's coming out. Of course, you know maybe what Vine example. You know that is something of course. Obviously, we've all got TikTok now. That's the new Vine now, isn't it? But back in those days, Vine was sort of 6 minute thing, 6 seconds thing. Obviously, successful. It was. You know, Will Sasso. Everybody spurts. Who remembers that stuff? That was an interesting time. People just reacting to music videos, you know, and like history of YouTube, evolution of videos, of course. And then you got YouTube's React, of course, like the content creators at the time, very, you know, they're sort of like at the pinnacle of their powers at that point, reacting to stuff. And actually seeing them just like together in one video, not all together like around one table reacting to one video. No, not like that. Just individual, like you have two people in one edit, back to the same video, but like done on different days. I think that filmed over one day or different days. I'm not too sure, with different backgrounds. Fantastic. Again, really good, of course. And see what the reactions are. It's like, you know, of course, and people sort of loving it and ramped it up, really. It's like, again, pretty good stuff. I do think it's gone south now, really. I mean, there's a few things that come, you know, there's things that sort of Fine Brothers down, of course. One is the React stuff, of course. They do the React channel separately, and that's sort of swung into its own different thing, of course. I mean, yeah, it's reacting to other stuff, of course. You know, maybe like tasty food tasting, whatever. But it's sort of lost its channel what it used to be, really, what its identity was, really. And the other thing, of course, that Fine Brothers trying to copyright React, make it as their own copyright thing, apparently, which never went, sort of didn't go anywhere. But that was a bit of a strange thing. I didn't really know about until I think when they try and do stuff, really, it's you know, again, do something that's left field. Again, React, you know, try and make it a copyright thing. No, well, no, because you know, people react all the time. It's you know, billions of people probably react to something on, you know, on this YouTube. I've done a React video, of course, and you know, trying to copyright that and also get maybe some monetization or maybe do something like that or make it, you know, their own thing, make it their thing. No, shut up. That is enough. It's just like a weird thing. I think that's all derailed their sort of careers in a way. And mostly they've done movies, but they don't have the problem and everything else, which I've never really cared for. That's like sort of when reactors come in, that sort of thing. I never really bothered. That sort of thing, that sort of stuff really. Back into early days, of course, what they were doing. Also, I forgot about this. They used to do the lost videos, of course, because there's lost action figures, and this, it's like, I think they were like using it like in a back garden or something. Him, Rafi, and Benny, whatever, what they were doing. Well, that was funny. And they kind of like weird characters again, like puppet animation, puppet action figures in a back garden, and also you have various different characters from different franchises come on the island where Lost is set. And it's funny. I think it's another recurring that Hurley dies quite a lot, like Kenny in South Park, stuff like that. And that was funny. That was very early on in Fine Bros, but blimey, that was something. You used to remember that. You see recommend it, you think, okay, I'll watch this, and actually it's pretty good. Other than more, and you sort of get into it really. But these days, Fine Brothers, they're nothing much, really, nothing much, unfortunately. I think same goes to all the other ones really, like what is to come before. Lucas Cruikshank, Fred. Obviously he had his time, of course, and his appearance in iCarly, which I think I remember seeing actually years ago. Also, I think I saw recently because Quinton Reviews did his full version of iCarly from breaking down each season and going through the whole thing, of course, how he feels, and also the the plus and negatives about the show in general, really, like a two-part, nearly 4 or 5 hour videos, really, quite long ones. But if you're interested in that sort of stuff, check him out. He's fantastic. He is, Quinton. Yeah, also he was sort of high his powers, really, of course. And then the Fred movies come out, and I think that's where it's all gone, because the success from Nickelodeon really sort of hampered the whole YouTube thing, and also just ruined the whole thing of as Fred, really. Obviously, doing the same thing but doing a different situation, like him go to camp. I don't know. Obviously, then afterwards he sort of. Well, actually, I didn't really know this about this actually. They sort of rebooted it, but they did it with a coloured child, apparently. And I think that's not the way to go. It's Fred, but it's like a 10-year-old little child with a squeaky voice. I don't know if he had fake wig on or something. I don't know if that's his actual hair. I don't know. And that's wrong. That's wrong. I mean, you look at what's happening? Ray William Johnson's show. He presented it for many years, and then you got what's his name, Bobby or something. He comes as well, just to replace him. That's sort of the same par, really. It's like it's that sort of thing, really. And I just don't really know actually. It's just no feel, cause, and obviously Lucas did Marvin, I think, that bloody alien show. I think like him living in family, whatever. Sort of like a Mock and Mindy thing. I don't know, something like that. I think something like that, like a modern children's version, Nickelodeon version of that show. Just like so, really. It's just become a bit of a pain, really. And obviously, he sort of give up. I think he also come out, of course, which is no problem, really. If he comes out of the closet, fair enough. He had his interactive journey. I didn't really see much about what they did, really, but they appeared on YouTube, so that's only I sort of know from them, that sort of relationship between them two, really. But others I don't really know, really. But I think Lucas Cruikshank's career is sort of like, he's getting older, of course. I don't think he could probably carry on with the whole Fred thing, of course. And I just don't know. I mean, he's past his prime, of course. Annoying Orange is another one. Obviously, when he first came out, it was something, of course. Someone put eyes and mouths on orange and made him annoying, and saying an apple, just annoying apple, just randomly all the time in a kitchen scenario. And obviously, it built on from there. You introduce more characters. You get Pear, you get the little marshmallow, you get Grandpa Lemon, you get Passion, the female character in that one. Melon, of course. I think so. Or like a rival, it's like a, obviously when people get perished, get eaten, or get blended, or get killed, don't they? That sort of thing. That was funny at the time, of course. I mean, it was sort of talk of town. Everyone reacted to that a lot. It was something, that sort of thing. It's like the whole thing with the Alan Steve thing, of course, and it's basically the same, of course. I think people still use that, really. you know, yeah, it's just happens really. But when it transitions to a TV show, and it just doesn't work really. Mainly because Toby Turner's it, of course, which I'll get to. It's in the last point. Um, you know, but I think transitioning from a show to a show again from Nickelodeon as well, it's not good, really. I remember seeing when it first came out. Actually, I think it's not good, really. I think that's how it derailed it really badly, really. Make the transition to TV doesn't work. Same with Fred. This is the point, though. It just because it's trying to transition from everything else, and also point it into like a sitcom bit on Nickelodeon or something like that. It just doesn't work. I think that's probably why I think Nickelodeon sort of ruined YouTube's legacy, really, in a way. Like it's sort of it's tarnished those legacies really. It's tarnished that sort of run. It's half nice, and obviously they've given like the opportunities like, can we make it into a TV show and all, and this sort of thing. It's like corporate meddling again, really. Warner Brothers with Rooster Teeth, Nickelodeon with an Orange and Fred. That's the thing. It's that sort of thing, really. It just happens, really. What else can I think of? At the top of my head, I mentioned long gaming stuff I did. I just don't know really, because some stuff really you watch some stuff that you kind of forget about. Really, like Corridor Digital, Freddy One as well. They used to do some pretty interesting stuff with special effects, of course, that they did, and use computer effects. They had it was like pretty groundbreaking stuff at that point, really. You'll make it very fun, very good. But these days, I don't really know what to do. I mean, obviously, Freddie Wong did a production company called Rocket Jump, but I just don't know. I think it sort of dipped out when he finished it, when he did a company. It sort of just never went. It's sort of like the output itself didn't really do much. Corridor Digital sort of lived on really, but I don't really you don't really see them as much anymore. They're not so relevant, really. Maybe the hardcore followers really, but no, it's just not really. It's not really relevant, really. Who else? I was trying to think really. PewDiePie. I can probably say PewDiePie as well actually at this point. Obviously, don't know game of course, really, but and he was really something. It was, I think Happy Wheels sort of really bounced up the thing. I think people doing Let's Plays of Happy Wheels, of course. I mean, that was the game of the time. I'm not sure if it's still being played a lot these days. I don't know. It seems to like what I think people these days, kids these days probably won't know what it is. They look Fortnite. It's like yes, but back in the days we had like flash games like Happy Wheels. That was a big game changer that was at that time. Obviously, Uber Hacks Nova came on. At the scene, he was doing that sort of thing, and you really go into his Let's Plays and everything else. Obviously, he was part of the Creatures. That Fall Apart, he did Cow Chop, which was anarchic and wild. He sort of stopped really. Did a lot of Twitch stuff, of course, but I don't think he probably still does YouTube stuff. I haven't really bothered since, really. I think obviously after everything that's happened, it's basically it's like they just want to do what they want to do, of course, but the moment's passed, really, of course, for many people. And for me, really, it's like you've had a good ride, of course, but you need to get off it, really, at some point. It's like you can't really continue, even though I watched James's content for a good while, a long time. So Happy Wheels, of course, through his various different Let's Plays, the Creatures, this time the Creatures Cow Chop, and obviously that's when it finished. Really, that's when I sort of stopped, just not really bothered really at that point. I think tastes are changing, of course. They were sort of finishing, they were, and again, not much really happens afterwards, really, for most people. There was an offshoot one called Uncanny, which is meant to carry on from the Cow Chop, really, and Muscle Party, which is Brett's channel. Again, those two things were trying to carry on what Cow Chop did, from its, trying to resurrect what was going around. Uncanny sort of did that, but stopped. Just due to various members just leaving, really, because of the pressure of the internet, really, and also just like their fandom, really, in general, really. Muscle Party, I don't really know that's still going on. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? Probably once a month. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, happens. Speaking of which, go back to Happy Wheels, and PewDiePie comes along. He comes along, and straight up, goes up by a trajectory and does, Amnesia. He does Happy Wheels. He does various different horror-related games. And this leads you down this rabbit hole course of very different reactors. Of course, you've got Markiplier as well, who I just don't really follow anymore. Really, I just get tired of stuff. Really, I mean, probably last time I saw watched him was maybe a couple of years ago. Really, but I think over time, you just get bored with stuff. Really, of course. I mean, he's a decent person. Obviously he cares about his people, he cares about his fans. He's always, when people obviously give him the sport, of course, over the many years he cries, because he feels that many people always support him, and obviously does his best, really, of course, just to make content happens, and he probably still does, really. Again, I just gone off the bus, really, of that bit. It's like, I've had enough, really. I've just done, you enjoy the run, you enjoy the ride, you enjoy his content, what he's done. Him and his collaborations with Yomi Bash, of course, I remember, and Wade and Bob as well. Fantastic chemistry them guys have. But there comes a point where you're just like, you just want to stop. Really, it's like you're fatigued by it. You're fatigued by with the stuff with your Black Nova, of course. You're fatigued with Markiplier. And you're fatigued with Jacksepticeye as well. You're fatigued with, Laserbeam as well. Because I used to enjoy when he first came on, of course, and him collaborating. He's all going to his content really. And then afterwards, it's just sort of you just felt. I mean, when when Fortnite came along, it's like I'm not interested in Fortnite. It's another thing. And also, I think the sort of damning thing with him was because he paid a Free Guy, which I despise really. To be fair, I've never seen Free Guy, but I really don't want to. It's video game hype. This is the problem. And also they bring people, various different people. I think people like Ninja in it as well. Laserbeam's in it. It's very. It's not. I don't think it seems the right thing to do. Really, it's too stupid for its meaning. You thought Wreck-It Ralph. I think Wreck-It Ralph's decent. Is a bad one, really. Free Guy, no, it just really doesn't, really. I think it's a stupid pile of crap, really, in my opinion. It's basically cashing on the whole gaming thing and projecting it on the big screen, doing something with it, and bringing YouTube games on it. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. I don't like that, really. I just really think it's a cash grab and everything else, and people just try and get on the bandwagon. It's like, I'm in the movie. I cameo in this movie, this big budget blockbuster movie with Ryan Reynolds in. And that's like creates. It's like, you're desperate for attention. That sort of thing. It's like, you want more. You want the world. You want the freaking moon. No, you don't. This is a problem. Again, I just sort of stopped season afterwards, really, with Laserbeam, really. Mind you, it was pretty good. I mean, good, yes, but Fortnite come along, his appearance in Free Guy, it just tarnishes the whole thing, really. It's like, it tarnishes your experience, really. You think, like, I just give up. No, that's way too much. It's like him becoming rich and living in a freaking mansion in Beverly Hills or something, of course, and he becomes an arsehole. It doesn't work like that. Not on my thing, I don't see that. That just basically that sort of thing, really. I just don't really enjoy that, There we go. Really, that's really good to say about this sort of stuff, really. And I think I could bring up Toby Turner as well, the Tobuscus. I mean PewDiePie as well, actually. I keep drifting off to other people. And he's been back to PewDiePie as well. Tobuscus, I really can't get into his stuff, really. I mean, when he first came along, people were saying, my mates actually knew about his stuff, whole thing about the Torch song, Nuggets and a Biscuit, and that sort of thing. And I remember looking at his stuff, and his reactions are just like, when he's reacting, he's over the top and it's just not good. He's playing it up. Rather than have like a generic sort of reaction from many people I've seen, he's just playing on the whole thing. If that happened with stuff, I mean, he's sort of carried on for years and years, and it's stale as fuck it is, and yeah, it's, and his reactions, he's very, I mean, he gives up like characters like bloody names and voices and stuff like now these days. It's just like, and he's overreactive too, over too much. It's, it's not good to watch and listen, really. And that's all put me off, really, big time, really. I just really can't get stuff, really. And good for a reason, actually. Before I do that, PewDiePie, sorry, I keep forgetting. So, PewDiePie, when he came on, fantastic, of course. He was really something, again, doing reaction videos for gaming and everything else, horror-based stuff. He'd go to like the weird, freakiest parts. Markiplier did the same, really. Go to like the weird, freakiest games, indie games and stuff that you probably see and be freaked the fuck out what was going on. It was something. It was something. It was, of course. And people with like PT and Silent Hill's PT and everything else. That was sort of freaky at the time, really. You see Slenderman. I played Slenderman, of course, and some of my friends saw freaked out by playing it. Really, it's like a cursed game, but yeah, it's fine. Just people sort of. I mean, it's all sticks in the mind. Does really. I mean, you sort of watch it yourself. You sort of like. It freaks you out sometimes when you watch it with them. It's like you're watching a movie made. It's like watching a film, really, when you make with some few drinks and a few popcorn, and you sort of like on your edge of your seat, and you sort of feel like them, really. It's like you're freaked out. He's sort of like just patrolling on, really. Carrying on what goes on. That sort of thing. That's what PewDiePie did, really. And then he started doing. There's some whole things, of course, that sort of really put me off for PewDiePie. Maybe because he's over popular. He's got 1 billion subscribers, very much. I think he's got loads. He's still the king of YouTube, surprisingly. Even though people don't really mention him as much. Not really. I think you sort of look at him, it's like, it's fine. He's past his prime, but he's still carried on. He's still got millions and millions of followers, like he's bloody Jesus or something. But what was interesting at the time, I think the sort of thing that piqued me interest was the whole thing with T-Series, really. And when they were rivaling between them two, really. It was like he was actually marketing stuff as well, just to subscribe to his channel to keep it going, of course, because he'd been let down by this coming from India, doing movies and music videos and stuff like that. This corporate sort of channel comes along and tries to steal his thunder. It might be the same, really, but they might have taken over. I don't really know, actually. Who knows? They're probably some wavelength. I don't know. I never really bothered that sort of stuff. I saw it briefly. It's like, briefly looked at it. Okay, where's this going to go? And people are making news. So I heard DeFranco and everyone else all make news. And PewDiePie's against T-Series. Who's going to win? What's going to happen? Is the king to lose his crown? There we go. And that's sort of finished it, really, because since then he's done reaction videos, but it's very meme stuff, not gaming stuff, meme stuff like Reddit posts and everything else, and it's not good. I'm sorry. He's just, he's lost his way at this point. Even though he gets his rewards, his Ruby button, he gets his, everything else. He's, living the high life, in a phrase sake, but he's making content, and he's very. I just don't know. It's gone this whole point where it's gone a bit stale, of course, at this point. Again, stale is often the word I use, really, to describe the sort of state of YouTube and also people's creators, really. And it's really just, it's just very much the same, really. It's sort of becoming a norm now, really, and that's what I really just done with. I never subscribed to PewDiePie anyway, so there we go. But I think at that point, when I was doing YouTube anyway, he was going for that sort of stale period anyway. Coming what he really becomes now, really. In the past, it was, if I did that sort of early, I'd probably subscribe to him anyway, become the real army, because all his content what I was doing was actually funny and interesting. Nowadays, it isn't, really. I just look at it thinking, you need someone else to be the king of YouTube than him, really, because he's saturated this bloated, bloody thing, whatever. Calls his legacy, really. His ego, his legacy. And there we go. I think one damn thing, of course, he lives in the UK now. He lives in Brighton, apparently. So he can fuck off. So, oh my God. Right, so that's out of the way. That's all the stuff. Now let's go to this. So this is the problem now for this third one. And this is sort of like it's become like a bit of a thing, really, for the past couple of years. And I'll deep dive into this stuff now. Really bring this stuff out. I mean, so number 3 is scandal, basically. So also the allegations, sexual allegations, all this stuff that's been tossed around all over the place, really. And it's all this sort of stuff. Damn, the more people it does and everything else. It's really just like, and it ends the career. It basically, you look at them, they've done that sort of thing. It's like, they can fuck off. I'm not going to say to them, why have I watched them for many years? It's like you want to bathe yourself in a chemical bath for a good number of hours just to get rid of what you've just, that sort of thing. Really. It's just, Toby Turner, I'll bring back to him actually. So I didn't really know much about what was going on because I stopped watching because his content was freaking annoying at that point. But what really sort of, why you don't see him much anymore, or why he's just like evaporated, is because of sexual allegations he did. This is like very similar people, also through his horrendous, unappreciated behaviour, really. I think one example is he was a Philip DeFranco's, like a Super Bowl party hosted by Philip DeFranco, and he whacked his dick out, he did. And as women, really. So like he did a Jim Morrison, he did. And that's to say, he bullied to say Jim Morrison to show how much of a bit of a sexualised eagle he is, really. Also, people come out, and say, that they sort of an abusive relationship with him for years, and this sort of stuff, really. And he did some videos replying to sort of things like, "I've never done that stuff," saying he just, just denied everything, Even though I dated the woman, of course, I denied all that other stuff she'd been saying, even though it's true. He's done that. He's probably done stuff. He's done stuff. He's just cleared his name, devoted fan, his devoted fan base, and he keeps it up. It's like, you listen to me. I've never done this stuff, even though people turn his backs on him now. And also, he's like, yes, you've done that, of course. Horrible. It's just horrible. The one example, one I could probably say is Yogscast, British-based company, gaming company, which I used to watch now again, really. Minecraft stuff I never cared for, really. They did Gmail stuff, which was interesting. But allegations came the way, of course, and that really just hampered everything. Really, it just went, quite a few of them, well-known people, of course. There was one, was it Kath Terps, who was the CEO of Yogscast, and one of the CEOs, like one of their heads up, was more than, sexting and also with underage people. He's not, no. And obviously, it's still going on, but I just don't bother watching, really. Even though one of the people I saw follow works for Yogscast, it's put a damning thing on the bloody thing, so I don't go near Yogscast, whatever, really. Again, this is the thing. People just don't want to watch this stuff anymore. The reception of it. I mean, Yogscast itself is a bit of it's a weird hellhole in a way, because of, again, apart from the scandals, of course, but also for this Kickstarter thing they did for this game, multiplayer role-playing game they sort of did, and conned, or, thousands of pounds from fans, really. Let's remember that. Let's remember that. I never been that sort of thing. I didn't know until Coach Class for the video was. It's like, oh, so they get a Kickstarter game for a company for a developers company that they never actually knew, who probably did some stuff, who probably be veterans of the industry, but never done much. And it's just, that's just sickening, really. And also this is the scandals thing, of course, really. It's a pain in the arse, it is, It's the same with TV shows and films, of course, the whole thing. Noel Clarke and John Barron, the whole thing about that sort of stuff. Obviously, that's challenged whole generation. That's scarred a whole generation now, really. I mean, it is generation scarring now, it is, when you look at it. And I just don't want to go near that stuff. And let's go back to Bruce Steve, of course. Obviously, a couple of years ago, there was the whole Ryan Haywood and Adam Kovic situation going on. People thought it was like a fake thing at first, but then more people, or tons of people, come forward, made towards Ryan Haywood, really. Adam Kovic sort of disappeared, really, and he sort of come back last year. He sort of come out, bounced up again. He was doing, him and Aaron Markier doing some good work there at this point. So he's back on his feet. But it was more like personal stuff, and something to do by his wife's back, really, of course. And been in therapy, of course, like that. But he's never done, I would say, like, he wasn't, well, it was very overshadowed. He was, but he never sort of did anything as horrific as what Ryan Haywood did. Jesus Christ! When you look at it, you think, oh, it's like people who are probably fans. You think he'll probably want attention, really, but when evidence and stuff started revealing everything else, text is on Snapchat and Twitter and everything else with him and underage fans, and their sad stories, of course, like people, meeting them up, like maybe at some point 2017, 2018, of course, I do RTX events and stuff like that, or maybe sometime doing after RTX or something, and shagging them, really. It's that is going in a very horrible deep well, that is. Um, and also paying people as well, and also keeping them shunned as well, involving his, saying that he's going to commit suicide, and also saying, "I'm going to die if you don't say anything like that," like it's like Fred himself, or like so that someone wants to spill the truth out or anything like that, which has been happening for a good few years. Obviously, that all came out in 2020, towards the end of 2020, actually. He got fired by Rooster Teeth, of course, and obviously everything, and all this barrage of, allegations of, and it's like, God, Jesus Christ, and people come forward. Again, Culture Clash has done a fantastic job of detailing like the events, of keeping it general, really, and it's really, it's just one of those things, really. Just I really, it's just a horrible thing to do, really. And he trying to bounce back on Twitch. He did in April last year. He did last year in April. Try to come back on Twitch and also, try, wishing the people who probably were followers his account but sort of forgot about him. Really, it's like, oh yeah, always trying to come back, and obviously they sort of banned him entirely. Same as in freedom, fair big groups and stuff like that, and did something like that. Just recently, because I watched a video by someone called Smooth and Monkey, I think, Austrian German fellow, I think, and he brought up the point. This came up recently, actually. Like it was like a court form or something like that, or something to do with point line court, like a defense document or something like that between someone called Jane Doe, which is like a fake name, really, and Ryan Haywood, or James Ryan Haywood. Well, Ryan Haywood is, I guess we've got his stage name, but everyone knows who he is, really, obviously. And also the filing report, this sort of thing, and it's filed, and also goes through details as well, of course. So, and also trying to sue him, really. They're trying to sue, and also Rooster Teeth as well. And it's, it's basically, that's what we're trying to do, really. Obviously, I mean, at this point, I'm not sure how it's gone through, really. I don't know if it's still got an ongoing thing. Nothing's really been mentioned about it, really, probably since January. It sort of reared up, it did. And nothing really explained about it since then, really. Who knows? It could be dropped, I don't know. Who knows what happens, But, it was just, it's been a horrible thing. But the problem is, it's tarnished Rooster Teeth's legacy now. Indeed, obviously, he's still going to get, when Jab and Michael Jones streamed for a good hour about the situation, they also mentioned that they were trying to remove all the content from him, which I don't think they, painstakingly done that, which they haven't. It's still there. His content, he's still, because he's been in tons of videos, probably like thousands of videos. Well, I don't know how, loads of stuff, loads of videos, loads of content, and he's still on there, really. Instead of trying to remove it, they've probably done jack shit about it, really. Just think about going forward and being everything else. The thing is, though, I look at Rooster Teeth, I look at Let's Play, I look at Funhouse, really, and it's just gone horribly. I mean, this has gone to the Warner Media stuff, really, but the sexual allegations as well sort of tarnished. It's really put a knife in the back, really. It's really just like, it's really just not good as it used to be, really. It just really doesn't, it feels like it's soulless now, really. Even though you got new members joining, of course, it's not the same. The energy's not there anymore. It really just like, it's deflated the whole thing now. I really, I used to subscribe to Funhouse. I did, that was the only game channel I actually subscribed to, believe it or not, for its personalities and and entertainment, its energy, really. That I really enjoyed our Funhouse, really. when Adam left, really, of course, and it sort of carried on a little bit, really, but it really started showing at the seams it did, and I just wasn't really just interested with what was going on in what they were doing, really. Even though they got new cast members, of course, it wasn't as good, really. It feels like the creatures in some regards. You know, the best people have sort of gone due to various things and doing business, really, or just clashes with people, sexual, maybe not sexual allegations, really, not really, but just personal problems and everything else. And then you leave with people who probably like, you know, like maybe one founding member and a lot of interns, really, and it just falls flat on its fucking ass. It does. And that's how the creatures really felt, really, towards the end. Funhouse is in that sort of predicament now. It is, and Rich Steve, you still got your usual favourites, really. Nobody Burns, though. Well, obviously, he's fucked off now because of his ego and masculine, you know, and you know, children, you know, Ginger Cats and Tomcats, why not? Try to form a company, be in the UK. Seriously. But obviously, it just lost steam, it has, really. I mean, the Ryan Hayward situation is basically overshadowed everything, really. And it's basically, well, not put blemish on it, it's put more like a massive blemish, like a massive tumour in it, in the system. And it's just not going to work, you know. It's not going to wash, you know, it's not going to use soap and wash it, you know, wash its mouth or not. It's just, you know, it seems dead in the water. It obviously cutbacks and also Warner Media, and of course, like the whole scandal thing really seems to like be the cutter point now. Really, I mean, there's no way looking back at this sort of stuff. Yeah, you got your people and also do content, but they're really under corporation through men in suits and stuff. They are, and they're basically slaves. They are at this point. They're slaves. I'm sorry, Rooster Teeth at this point. It's like slave labor at this point, you know. And you know, building videos, you know, doing videos, of course. And obviously, it's going for the motions. The corporate thing is just like, you know, it's stick its bloody teeth in now at this point, and it's just like, just not good. You know, I tried to watch some stuff recently of theirs. It's not good. I really can't stomach it now, unfortunately. I think it's like, you know, the Hayward situation, his issues, and everything else, but also the whole thing involved, you know, the chemistry between everyone else. Maybe it's all there for people, of course, maybe in general, but for me, it's not clicking. It's really not clicking. You know, Funhouse as well, it's not clicking. I really can't grasp on it. I can't get a grasp on it, really. And it makes me just maybe like, you know, they can just go on their own trajectory and just do what they do, really. But it's just not good anymore. It really isn't, unfortunately. And that's why I sort of generally just like give it up on this whole thing. I look at, you know, there's some good YouTube stuff, of course, out there that I enjoy. Movie reviews, of course, like that. You know, Doctor YouTubers, they've always bring something interesting to the table. They do. You know, do their best, really. You know, making their own thing. If they like the classic era, fair enough. If they love just New Who, if they love general parts like the Davy Stratford told Timothy, fair enough. If they're advocates for that, fair enough. That's absolutely fine. You know, I just think everything else, like in between like sitcoms and stuff, gaming and stuff, that's really just gone haywire and just gone absolute shite, really. You know, there's always various other things. Comment down below if there's anything else that you want to point out as well, in your defence, of course. You know, and whatever, really. I think I've said too much, really, at this point. You know, I'm getting close to the hour mark anyway. It's really that sort of thing. The whole scandal thing, the allegations thing, is just like, it's the main crux point that really just like, I just really can't. You know, I can't bear to watch these people anymore, really. Content's slacking, absolutely. Everyone just seems like they want to try and appeal to children, make it family friendly. No, you can't read it. It's like a TV show, like make it dumbed down for kids. No, and make it just like everyone seems like taking stupid pills or something, like the loss of brains or something at this point. It's really just like, you know, it's just not good anymore. But also the corporate stuff really hangs like a bloody noose around their necks as well. It's making them water down. It's like they're setting up to fail, really. It's like, you know, they're trying to make deliberate stuff. Really, I think, in my opinion, they're making deliberate just to, I think, what was that company that did with Machine Full Screen? Obviously, they bought it and then decided to delete everything. They did. They basically like delete all content from that from Machine, from basically getting rid of the website, YouTube channel, whatever what it was. Machine was no longer a thing. Maybe a couple of videos if you look around on some people's channels, of course, if they were part of the whole scene. But it's sort of come to a point now. It's like, when is this going to just going to go like that? When's it going to cease? Don't know, really. I mean, they were sort of independent company. I mean, Rooster for itself was an independent company in the beginning, obviously being bought up by companies, again, doing movies and everything else, TV shows, being involved with HBO Max. No, you're really just, what it was a nice independent company that did sort of stuff. Yes, they did skits, they did animation, of course, Ruby. They also did Red vs. Blue, obviously. That's done successfully well. It was a niche thing, obviously, because it was internet-based, everyone could enjoy it. Obviously, now these days, you have to bloody go to HBO Max and watch bloody Laser Team, which is absolute shite. I just, it's really, that's basically like another low point for the Rooster in general, really, the movies itself. Actually, no, I'll tell you a lie. I do have a film of theirs. What's it called? Oh shit, what's that film called? I forgot I had it on DVD actually. What's it called? Shit. Bloodfest, that's it. I do have that actually on DVD. I would probably say that's probably better. I mean, it's a slasher thing, really. Obviously, it's parodied slashers and stuff like that. And all around us being like wild, really. I think that's probably better. I haven't seen it though. That's the thing. I haven't on DVD. I haven't really seen the thing. Wherever it's gone, I don't know. But I do have it on DVD. So just there we go. Really, I think that's it. Really, I can't really say much more. I've done my bit. My criticisms, that's done. So there we go. And just right under it out as well. Fantastic. Right, so that's me talking about the YouTube thing, one of these history stuff, really, allegations. What was brilliant shows and nostalgia at this point, back in its heyday, is just pile of shit, really. And just set to fail and everything else, the game in general, really. All of the landscape and how corporations are just arseholes, really, and just watering down and dumbing down the content and waiting for the chopping block. I think that's going to happen. That's going to happen at some point. We will see. We will see how this year goes. If everything goes south, really, if everything goes more south, that's probably the end of everyone's career, really. They can probably just like, go like that, really. It's like, it could be like a slow death. They're doing slow deaths anyway at this point. It's like they're living to like 101 or something. It's like that, really. And they'll just go like that, really, when the time comes. There you go. Anyway, guys, if you've seen the whole through this video, Christ, you are just, unless you're drunk like me, probably, a few days and just trying to get through the whole thing, fair enough. But that's me rambling about YouTube in general. What I think of my view experiences, what I think of just Charles, really. That's all I say. So thank you for watching this special, of just this one-off special of a series I haven't done for years. That's all I asked. That's what I wrote about for this one-off thing. There we go. Bit complicated, but there we go. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you for the next video. See you guys.